Hey chat, we tried this a little bit ago and we're gonna try doing it again because I think it was pretty fun. But for you guys that you may be new to this or not, every Sunday we try to do a Q&A video. We try to take the time to set time aside to answer questions from you guys, whether it be through YouTube or on Twitch, which is where we're at now, twitch.tv/Lawler. If you'd like to come hang out with us, we stream every day but Tuesday and Sunday. But we are going to, in today's video, take a look at some of the questions and comments left by people on the previous videos, and then answer some of them from chat. So if you would like some of your questions answered, one, leave a comment down below, and then hopefully a bunch of people upvote it. And then also feel free to come hang out. I use Reddit too much. Upvote, like it, same thing. Or come hang out on Twitch, where we'll answer some of the questions from chat as well in this video. So with that said, let's jump over to the screen where I've got some of those questions loaded, and we're going to kind of filter through these and figure out what the heck we want to do as chat says hello. First one comes from Johnny. Hey Lawler, love these vids. Appreciate it, Johnny. Actually, I have another question about casting side of things. In Call of Duty, in terms of casters, they have 3 pairs of casters, and each pair only really casts with each other. There's no mix between these casters. This is because it helps build the chemistry between the 2 casters. Is that similar within the RLCS, and why not? So usually you do have a dedicated commentator that you work with, and it's for those same reasons. It builds chemistry and rapport. You learn each other's tendencies. In casting, there's a lot of small things that happen that people don't really notice, like the inflection that I have, when to pass off or not, and you learn those things the more and more time you spend together. If you guys have ever been unlucky and listened to both myself and Leaf X in the same room, as soon as he is done talking, I will immediately pick it up. And it's because we've been working together for 6 years. So having that understanding does allow for flow and stuff to go really, really smoothly. That is one of the benefits of working with the same pair or tandem. And Call of Duty does that because Call of Duty's been around for a very long time, and they've basically found their casters. Now, the RLCS does have some of this, like Wavepunk and Achieves, Corelli and Jorby. You know, sometimes you take styles and you put them together. Achieves is usually pretty low on energy unless something really crazy happens, while Wavepunk is making oohs and ahs and stuff. Those together add a really good balance. So there's a lot of different things like that where they try to pair that familiarity together, but because they've been bringing in a lot of new casters and a lot of different rotations, it has been mixed up a lot. They've been trying a lot of different pairings, and I think most of that is due to, with the major coming up next week, just making sure that they try a bunch of different things. So a lot of cool different ways they can do that. Saints fan asks, Lawler, so do you think that we are coming up on a skill ceiling for players? How long do you think it'll be before we reach the limit? I think there is an impossible skill ceiling in Rocket League because this is a physics-based game and players can only get better and better. I do think that although the skill ceiling has not seen such a drastic increase over the years, like we saw from season 2 to season 3, 5 to 6, 7, etc., because it's a physics-based game and we aren't seeing as much of like a drastic change where like all of a sudden people went from not being able to do stuff to doing double flip reset stuff. You're not seeing that crazy change or that massive like, wow, this is easily noticeable, but you're still seeing different things like people using the ceiling for passes and stuff, or flip resets, or, you know, whatever it may be. But there's always going to be the human element. We are always going to see people make mistakes. Nobody plays perfect. So to say there's a skill ceiling, I don't think is really a thing. I think you will always see people continue to push. With a lot of these new young players coming in, I just don't think that that it's really a thing. I think we still have a lot of room to grow. And who knows what Rocket League is going to be like in a year from now. Now that especially we have LANs coming back. Something that's been missing for a very long time is live events and international competition, which will make everybody else better. Because better competition breeds better results for everybody. All that stuff trickles down to the other regions, different styles. Different regions have different approaches to the game. And when you take some of the stuff you learn and bring it back, you then see the whole iron sharpening iron thing. Sean says, hey Lawler, as usual, great content, great streams, great info. That's just a lot of greatness. Thank you, man. 2 questions. Firstly, are you a fan of Ludwig? Yes. I think Ludwig does some very unique content and has done some very unique things on how to grow as a streamer. Touches on a lot of topics, and he's also, from what it sounds like, I've never met the guy, but from what it sounds like, he's got a good head on his shoulders and isn't greedy about, like, he just announced that he has like 1.5 million in like between the house mortgage and like stuff he has in the bank and stuff. And people are like baffled by that. It's like, how does he only have that much and stuff? And a lot of it is because the way that he gives away to charity and all that other kind of stuff. Like, he seems like a pretty good dude, even though after switching to YouTube, he was banned within like 2 days of signing a contract on his live stream, which I think is hilarious. For the RLCS question, you've stated that it's good to make bold statements and back them up, stick by them. No more BDS dominant type season. Do you have any other bold statements for this major? None that I'm confident in enough to make. And this may sound like a scapegoat, but there is so many unknown factors about this LAN. And I meant to do a dedicated video about this. Let me know if you guys want a dedicated video on this stuff down below, or I can extrapolate a little bit more on it. This LAN is very unique. It's the first time in 2 years. Are we going to see veterans still have an advantage or not? We've got like 26 rookies coming in. There's no crowd. So like the whole LAN element isn't really there to the truest extent. We've also got people quarantining in hotel rooms. There's a lot of different things about this LAN that isn't necessarily the same as the trends in the past. I look at this LAN, there's a lot of questions I want answered, and like the whole concept of the mentality behind like rookies. Rookies usually don't perform as well. Like either they do or don't, and people always give the veteran experience. But like I feel this LAN is the best time to be a rookie, because you don't have the crowd. You are in a very secluded situation. Like it's a very controlled environment. Although there's a lot of pressure on the line, which is more than it's ever been, this LAN to me is still missing a lot of the key elements that make LANs special. So it's tough for me to give like any bold statements confidently and like unapologetically, because I just don't know about so many of the things going on. So that is part of it, but I don't know, man. I honestly don't know. I don't want to make one up just to satisfy the people. That's the issue. So I don't think I do. I don't think I have any bold. It's not even a bold statement, but whether your predictions are right or wrong, whether we're all right, wrong, whatever it is, whether people want to boast about their predictions and whatnot, I don't think it matters. I think ultimately the biggest statement that needs to be appreciated by everybody, which isn't even a bold statement, is just the fact that no matter who wins or loses, this is the first time in 2 years that we get to see international competition. And it's not just international competition, it's a true world event, because we have 7 regions instead of 4. I think that's something really special. So I hope everybody watching this, while they cheer for their fans, their favorites, their whatever, just appreciate the fact that it's back. I think that's the biggest thing that's important. Hot take, BDS goes out day 1, 0-3, only wins 1 game. Dang, bro. That'd be crazy. Furia top 4 based on scrims. I can see it, but who knows? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I don't think I have a bold take for you, man. Hey, Lawler. Currently low SSL and looking to start taking this game a lot more seriously. Man's low SSL and still isn't taking it seriously. Sheesh. What advice could you give to an up-and-coming player regarding looking for a permanent team to grind with and or down the line? How does a grinder with, say, 2K MMR ranked get noticed for RLCS and talent scouting to take the next step? I'll do it as if I was in your shoes. Say I'm pretty nasty at the game. I got 2K MMR. I'm grinding in SSL. I'm still like 300 or 400 MMR behind pro status. I don't know what the ranked ladder is right now, how far behind you are, but you're still behind a little bit of the pros. And you need to find a way for 2 things. Number 1, if you are going to take it seriously, find a way to make sure you're playing against those pros in their lobbies regularly. And when you're in those lobbies, you make it count. Make sure that you play smart, you take it serious every single game. I know it's ranked, but if you're going to take it seriously, make sure that when you have those opportunities to get recognized or noticed, make sure that you are making those games count. Second thing, as much as I'm here or there on 6-mans, go into 6-mans, start showcasing that you have talent in there, start being communicative. You know, be nice, be humble, build a good rapport, network, do whatever you got to do, and start climbing the ladder there. The other thing, if you're in ranked and you vibe with some players, say you're playing ranked in 3s and you're like just smacking people with another player, add that person to your friends list, start queuing up, go play in some tournaments. It's how almost everybody in the OG days found their teams, and that's kind of what I base it on. Is if you are dominating in ranked with another player, time to become friends with that person on your friends list. And start queuing together, playing in tournaments together, start winning stuff in the offseason, because you will get noticed. It's the way to do it. Alex says, with so many new casters in the RLCS scene, which is actually ironic because we talked about that a little bit earlier, are the OG guys still getting paid the same since they aren't casting as many matches as before? Also, are there any downsides to there being so many new casters? It goes back and forth and it depends on it. It's weird because when you're in a commentary position, like you are, although coworkers and trying to better each other for the broadcast purpose, you are still fighting for the same spots. You guys are technically competing for the same work. I can tell you that Sonics has done some really good things when it comes to like caster compensation and the way they're taking care of the guys. And even though they're bringing in a bunch of new commentators, usually the way that it works is when you are with a company for X amount of time, you get a raise. So for some of those guys, they have seen increases in their rates over time. By all means, there is some downsides just because there's more people trying to, but at the same time, that should also push you to be better, right? Like if I'm a commentator and I'm in a situation, all of a sudden they keep bringing in new guys that they like, that should motivate me to continue to become an expert in my craft. And that's just how it goes, man. There's no guarantee you get to keep your job in esports. It's freelance at the end of the day for the most part. So there's always a chance you can get replaced or let go or, you know, whatever happens. So that's just kind of how it goes. Also, someone in chat asked, weren't you born in Michigan? I know it's a weird question. No, I was not born in Michigan. That was actually James Bot. James Bot is from Michigan area. I am from Wisconsin. Born and raised in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Moved around a lot as a kid, but Wisconsin and Green Bay has always been home. Ollie Lynch, I like your videos, but when you say you think EU and NA shouldn't be viewed as separate, but then start saying NA has been better at recent lands, kind of contradicts itself. It doesn't. They're two totally different topics of conversation. I also seem to hear NA separating themselves from EU a lot more than the other way around, only for a bit to bite back. Just saying. You'd think NA would stop sleeping on EU by now, considering EU has dominated the majority of the lifespan of the game. Yes, but at the same time, who cares about season 1, 2, 3, whatever? Like, the tough reality of it, man, is if you go back and look at stuff of the past, just because the stuff of the past was so EU dominant, literally does not matter. It really doesn't. There's a level of respect that's given, I would hope, but what matters is right now. I don't care about the World Championship from season 1. I care about people who are performing right now. That's the beauty of esports, man. Like, you got to show up now, not 2, 3, 4 years ago. The other side of things is separating those conversations, right? I think as a generalization, as a public, we should view people as teams, right? I think we should view right now Energy as its own entity. We should view EU teams as their own entity. While it's good to classify and see that stuff, when it comes to stats, when it comes into stuff like that, I have to pair NA and EU as regions, because that is the region they're playing against for the last 2 years. I have nothing else to compare it to. So when we are finally seeing international competition, it transcends that. If I am looking at finally for the first time in 2 years, Energy is playing other team, I don't think we should be talking NA versus EU. We should be talking about Energy. What is their play style? How do they approach the game? What are their talent? Not all of NA is this, all of EU is this. But when I'm comparing teams within their history, I have to compare NA versus EU, or NA as a whole, EU as a whole, because what else do I compare it against? There's literally no other relevant stats or history, because 2 years is a really long time for a scene to develop. So hopefully that makes sense. You may think it kind of contradicts itself, but when you look at the argument itself, like, what else are you supposed to do? And I hope that makes sense. As for saying NA would stop sleeping on EU by now, I don't think anybody's sleeping on either of these teams. Like, everybody going to the major is a top 16 team in the world. Like, everybody's pretty dang good, man. It's going to continue to be really good. So ultimately, maybe you're just saying that because you're an EU fanboy and you think NA is like, EU's not getting, I don't know, man. Like, at the end of the day, man, be a fan of the game. Have your favorite teams. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get offended by what other people say. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. People can like and have favorites about what they want. And if you don't agree with it, so be it. That's fine. It's okay. It's okay. From chat, can an RLCS esports player union happen since we are dealing with younger kids and parents? Layer protection and transparency for players. What do you think about the subject without getting too political? Common sense, this is an interesting one in general. The difficulty with player unions and stuff like that is, realistically, if you were to set up a player union within the RLCS right now, 1, who's going to do it? 2, is anybody knowledgeable enough or old enough to actually run a union? The issue, I think, right now is you see so many roster transfers and changes and stuff like that, and those decisions are being made by literal kids. If anything, I personally would like more control given to the organizations. I think you can set rules in place to make sure that players aren't just cast aside willy-nilly, But I do think that you may see some more solidification. You may see a little bit more professionalism. People being able to become fans of teams long term because rosters wouldn't change all the time. A little bit more if we didn't have younger people making these decisions. That is a personal preference. That is a personal opinion. I do think the players know their teammates best, obviously, and they should have, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have, input and feedback into what actually happens, but you look at now the fall split, right? Fall split's over. You've got a bunch of teams that are trying to make adjustments when it comes to the next step. And a lot of these decisions are just like over internal dialogue that's not positive, or, you know, whatever it may be. And like everything just goes crazy. I'm looking at some of these EU transfers from my inside sources and stuff, and it's wild. It is wild, some of the things that are going to be happening. And I don't think it's going to fix the majority of the issues. So if you had, I think, organizations with staff and stuff behind it to help guide them through this process, it might be a little bit better. But at the end of the day, we don't know until it happens. So it's going to be wild what happens over the next like couple months here. Not even like a month and a half. I think matches start on the 14th of January for winter. But yeah, I look at a lot of these and it's pretty wild, man. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out. Chat. That is going to do it for Q&A Sunday. A whole bunch of other questions we didn't get to, but that's just the way it goes. We can't be here for hours at a time, which thanks to everybody who leaves comments and interacts on these, because if you guys didn't, I wouldn't even be able to do these videos. These videos are literally made and determined by your guys' upvotes and your guys' likes, as well as you guys submitting questions. So as long as you guys keep submitting questions, we'll keep doing this. But with that said, I do appreciate you all coming and taking the time to hang out and watch. That's going to do this video. If you guys enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and we'll see you in the next Q&A Sunday.